All right. Disclaimer aside. All right. So, as a creator, as a builder, as a founder, as a supporter of creators and side hustlers and the independent, the solopreneurs, I can effuse about this all day. This is like my life's work. So, supporting y'all and being one of y'all. There was one talk that really made me be like, okay, maybe the future of art will be okay. And that was Yancey Strickler on changing artists' power, specifically about artist corporations. Now, look, I actually had a chance to, I was so taken by the talk, and it was opening night. So it was that Monday night. I was so taken by the talk that I reached out and ended up talking to Yancey briefly afterwards. And I have a column coming up in Inc. magazine, Inc.com specifically, that is going to be talking in more detail about this. The link is below, but I'll show that to y'all in a second. So listen, Yancey is the co-founder of Kickstarter. Kickstarter, if you're not familiar, allows artists, creators, folks that are independent to describe whatever product or service they're trying to get out into the world and say, hey, audience, I think y'all would appreciate this. Did you want to contribute to this fund so we can make it happen? And based on the contribution, level of contribution to this fund, then they will get the product or the service, and they might even get special materials or special access. So, for instance, if I had a new chair that I wanted to get out into the world, but I didn't have the resources for it, or I wanted to go and build some momentum, then I can do a Kickstarter for, let's say, $100,000 and say, hey, I have a revolutionary chair. I'm going to go ahead and I think it's perfect for folks who are middle age, who have little kids, and I think it'll be perfect for y'all. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. And if you pledge $20 to it, then I'll be sure and give you a shout out. If you pledge $100, then you can go ahead and get the chair as soon as it comes out because the chair is going to cost $99. If you pledge $500, you can get the chair a week before other people, et cetera, et cetera. That's how Kickstarter works. And then ideally, you go in and make that whatever the fund is, $100,000. And of course, it's your job to follow through with folks. Or if you're not able to follow through, then you give them their money back. He's one of the co-founders of that. He got on stage at TED and did this short, fantastic talk talking about how hard it is for artists to be able to make a living. Now, that's been the case for a little while. And also, that said, he's saying it's been getting worse because you have a Spotify where, I go record shopping. I'm pointing at my record table right now. I go record shopping with my little kids. They're 9 and 11. And so we'll go record shopping, and they'll want to grab their Michael Jacksons and their Princes. I'll grab my Miles Davises and John Coltrane's and maybe Frank Ocean's when it's on sale, and my more modern music, et cetera, et cetera. And but that's not how most people are getting their music. They're mostly getting their music from Spotify. Spotify is like a social media feed, and that is algorithm based. So if I'm really into, say, Griselda, specifically West Side Gun and Rome Streets and Stove God Cooks, if you don't know who they are, that's okay. If you don't know who they are, then I think we're friends now. And so if I go in and listen to them on Spotify, then they're going to keep giving me more Boldy James and other ones that are in that camp. If I'm listening to, my John Coltrane or my Miles Davis, then they're automatically going to start giving me the Count Basies and giving me the Chick Coreas, other folks within that jazz genre for that 50-year span. In other words, it's really hard to get discovered. On top of that, because of technology and other things, and we're going to get into AI in a second, there's a lot of things that are being manufactured, including music, which I didn't even hear about. But now AI music is starting to be all over Spotify. There's nothing per se wrong with AI music, but when it's not labeled as AI music, then there's people who are actually making the music, like physically making the music, or even if you want to look at it like a DJ or a producer, even electronic music, there's some type of strategy to that. AI, there's not a human involved in most cases, aside from the prompt. With that said, there needs to be another designation that allows people to create. I'll keep it short because I have a whole column about this coming up tomorrow. He wants to start and is starting a new designation called A Corp or Artist Corporation. So a B Corp, if you're familiar with that, is a corp where a certain amount or percentage of the profits they make or some type of designation legally goes back to helping the environment or providing some type of humanitarian cause. So when you see something as a B Corp, then you know, oh, okay, let's say Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's might be a B Corp. Okay, bet. When I buy, a $4 thing of Ben and Jerry's, a pint, then I know that 40 cents of it is legally required to go towards helping homeless youth. I'm just throwing it out there, but something like that. A Corp is similar. A Corp allows you to get this legal designation based on you, and usually when you have a group of people where you're going to create this thing. And then when you create that thing, you can start this A Corp. This A Corp allows you a few different things. First of all, to get actual venture capital without having to start an LLC or S Corp or something that's way more, frankly, corporate. Another benefit of it is that you're able to get the infusion of capital from VCs, from angel investors, all those different things. But you can do it based on shares rather than giving up your IP. Again, I have an episode. I'll throw it back up here. That's going to be that's going to be live this Sunday. I'm talking about 3 power moves any artist can make, and it's all about intellectual property. What traditionally happens, this is why it's mind blowing to me. What traditionally happens is that you're like, hey, I want to go ahead and get a music deal. What does a music deal entail? Usually it requires going to a Sony or a Columbia or whoever, or Arista if they're still around, going to them. And they're like, bet, we'll give you $100,000 advance, which sounds nice, right? Everybody can use $100,000 for the next 5 albums, and that'll be against your royalties. And so once you sell enough albums, then you'll start making money. But until then, you got to pay us back based on the royalties you get per album sold, right? I think we got that part. The tricky part is, what if somebody's like, hey, I want to use that single, that song that you have, I want to use this in the upcoming um, Doctor Doom movie from Marvel. Okay, great. Do you have a choice in that matter? No, usually not. Because once you sign that deal, then that intellectual property, in a lot of cases, those masters, when they talk about masters, that goes straight to Columbia, Sony, Arista, whomever. They're going to be making decisions as far as if it's going to be in the new Doctor Doom movie. You might get paid, maybe, depends on your contract. What Yancey's talking about with having an artist core is, instead it might be like, hey, um, me and my band are making an album. Arista, did you want to distribute this? Great. You can get 30% of our A Corp. And we can split the money and all that stuff, but 30% of the A Corp. So they don't own the masters anymore. There's a lot of discussions that are happening, particularly with the movie Sinners. I cannot wait to watch it, with Ryan Coogler as the director, and of course Michael B. Jordan as the twins in the movie. I cannot wait to watch it. But I have some upcoming stuff that's researching Sinners and how Ryan Coogler's actually getting his masters back, for lack of a better term, at a certain point for this particular movie, because he has enough clout in Hollywood. What Yancey's basically saying is that if you're not a Ryan Coogler, who Black Panther 1 and 2, those two alone probably made $1 billion for Marvel. He's in a place where he can do that. You have a Christopher Nolan, and I rock with both of them. Christopher Nolan, he can do an Oppenheimer and get a bag of money and own all the rights to it, because he's Christopher Nolan, because he's Ryan Coogler. He can do that. But what about if you're starting out? What if you're in your proverbial garage? This is a through fare to do that. And people were hooping and hollering at TED. It's a relatively reserved group. They're hooping and hollering because there's a lot of artists in the audience, like myself. And we understood we've been jerked for our rights before. There's certain rights where I had to fight years to get them back. Yeah, these gray hairs just aren't from being a parent, you know? And so this is an opportunity for the next generation, not even my kids, but even the generation between it, for the 20 and 30 year olds of y'all who are on the come up as I was a couple of decades ago, who are saying, I want to get this out into the world. Now, Yancey and his team are working on a legal designation that will allow you to do that and protect your assets without having to start a whole corporation. It's called A Corp, but it's not a corporation in the same sense of you need to file in Delaware and have a CPA. So again, this is based on the conversation I had with him in the background, as well as what he talked about in his talk. Fantastic talk. The link right here is to him talking about his talk after his talk. He's talking about the talk. Hopefully, the talk is online soon. If not, like I said, you can go to TED.com and check it out. And I have a column at Inc. Magazine. I've had it for several years. And I'll be doing a column. I'm told it'll be live later on this week. So I'm very excited. Be sure and get tuned in. Of course, I have many other columns before that. Just click the link below. You can learn more about that. Again, I could have just talked about Yancey singing the whole time. Shout out to Yancey. I appreciate the work that you're doing. And a quick thing, this summer they're publicly going to let folks know when this designation will be available. So keep doing your work. Not you, Yancey. I know you're going to do your work, but whoever's watching, keep doing your work. And then maybe there's some cool ways that you can get your work out there without losing your intellectual property. I'm Damon Brown. I'm an entrepreneurial coach here to help you as a side hustle solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. What about you? Have you been in a situation where you lost your rights? How could something like this be useful to you? What questions do you have as far as how you can protect yourself with your intellectual property? And is there a way where this new legal designation that allows you to share your work without giving up your rights? How could it change the course of your career? I was already thinking about it, and I'm pretty well established, and I was already thinking about different things that can be done. I love to hear it in the comments, and for anybody that wants to chime in, bring your worth. Wednesdays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free. Check it out on whatever platform you're into.